High-grade Universal Century Victory Gundam. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, Gundam Reviews.net, and you've seen everything here for the high-grade Universal Century Victory Gundam, from the unbox and the plates to the individual parts, which are looking pretty sharp if you want to go and add some lining to them. But now it's time to put them all together and see how they stack up, how he poses, and some final thoughts. And when he's all put together here, well, if he wasn't a weapon of war with a pretty tragic story, I cannot help but think kawaii. He's just going to be coming across as a very small, simple MS design. Where's the fancy Seed Destiny backpack there, or things that we've seen in X and Wing? We just don't have it there. It doesn't have any of the flair of the G Gundam line. But at the same time, this is Universal Century, maybe not at its best, but definitely still one of its finer periods in my eyes. The colors are exactly where they should be. That blue and the red and the white and the yellow there in the chest are going to offset each other very well. The feet just seem to have a little bit of extra red there in the back of the elbows, and you can see those great little thruster details that they've put in here. This guy, especially if you put in the time for the lining again, is going to be looking solid, and he's just got the proportions just nailed perfectly. And I wish I had my 1/144th non-grade here to put beside him. You can go check out its review. But the amount of details here, especially in the upper body where it counts most, are all there. For posability, well, the first thing I gotta say about this guy, rock solid. You're used to building some complicated kits with a million moving pieces. This guy, not gonna happen, outside of maybe the ankles. So the front skirts here, they're just gonna pop up a little bit, and the side skirts here, well, they moved well when they were on for just the parts, but now they're gonna be a little bit more constrained by the waist. You can get the legs up here, and not going to want to cooperate to do much more than that. You're going to get that leg. It seems like the knee is just a little bit awkward to get down there, but it is going to give you a decent bend. The toe is going to come down, and when it does that, you can see that that just sort of loosens things up, but it gets right back up into place when you need it to, and despite the fact that that's looking pretty solid, you've got a good side-to-side motion there. For the upper body, this guy's not going to be ordering any fancy exercise machinery to account for his abs here. Basically, it's just on a big ball joint though, so you can see that it's got some decent posability and it's going to stay in place with no weight issues there. For the shoulders themselves, you can see that they're going to pop out, so you can do a decent job there. Go a little more than that though, and they'll want to come right out. Rotate, of course, and you saw that the shoulder is going to be spinning around there, and the elbow is going to be moving. It just, again, is a little bit firm there, similar to the knees, but that's still better than being too weak. And the head is going to be on this moving part, so it can go back and forth. Again, easy to dislodge, a la small piece of fruit. A very small one. For armaments, there's not much more to it than putting this in hand here for the beam rifle. You'll notice that it feels solid already. And when you cover it up, yeah, again, it's just going to be adding to the general solid nature of this kit. But let's check out this elbow shield contraption here. As you can go here and plug this in before getting ready to attach it on. This guy has the best protected left back of his elbow in the world. Jokes aside though, I think they've nailed so many aspects of this kit, especially just those proportions. The shield, absolutely perfect there. They could have gone undersized, oversized. I'd say it's just right there. And it is going to be fitting in nice and solid, and again, shake the whole kit. It's not going to be falling out on you. And I think that they just absolutely nailed the size of the feet and the hands, even the gray hands. You saw how well they handled the beam rifle there. But they again just seem a teeny tiny bit oversized there. But that adds slightly to the comic nature, but overall it's just going to help this guy look a lot more proportional when he's beside his new All Gundam Project friends. Like Hero Yui's non-endless waltz regular anime version here of the Wing Gundam. And it's not often that the 60-meter wing is going to be looking like a monster. But you can see with the slim frame overall, the legs for the Victory Gundam just come across as looking a little bit bulkier though. They're not going to be that far off, but it's just the way that they're tapered there. The chest for the Victory Gundam is also going to be more solid, but the big crazy wings and shoulders are going to set the wing apart. Not to mention the fact the head and upper body have truly announced the leaving of the Universal Century and moving into something a little bit more over the top and fantastical. And it's just great how well this high-grade kit is going to be reflecting those details. But the Victory Gundam is standing up so far. But if you want to talk about peacocking, how about that DX, the Double X Garrett Rands? Second lead, and not the title Gundam from Gundam X over there. Just again, a monster. If the legs were straightened out, he'd be a lot taller. The head is also going to be bigger. Part of that is just because of his more ridiculous V-fin and his angry mustache or beard down at the bottom. But when you add on even more of a Seed Destiny backpack, before Seed Destiny was even a glimmer in anybody's eye, it's still going to be a good combination getting them there, as again, they've got all the colors, all the details, and all the proportions just right. These seem like they're right out of the anime, and there's not much more I could ask for. But back to in-century here, sort of, as we've got the Build Gundam. This is the Mark II over here. And, of course, that's on the frame of just the regular Gundam Mark II, the first lead protagonist from Zeta Gundam there. And you'll just, what a difference this is going to be. The big difference, of course, is his chest is going to be a little change here for the build version, as is his V-fin. Nonetheless, he also would have a totally different backpack. But you just get an idea of what an 18-19 meter Gundam is going to be doing here. But overall, just look at the proportions. This was over a decade old, this kit here, before they made these small variations. Look how cheesily oversized and just sort of big and bubbly the shoulders and legs are. They don't look bad, but this guy, they've just got him that perfect proportion again and again. It just seems to be that right mix of cartoony and realistic war machine. And if you want to make some short jokes, well, how about next to the Master Grade New Gundam? This is titanium. Nowhere near even the waist section. But my goodness, that mid-universal century height inflation that we saw. But today, even up against a new real grade with lots of lining, decals, and colors in there, you know what? For the details and everything, this Victory Gundam is, and the quality, he's holding his own. For posing, though, perhaps the ankles leave a little bit to be desired there. That shield is just going to be popping there, and you can do have some fun with the left arm, and that beam rifle is looking good in hand. As even though the beam rifle doesn't have a way to hold it with two hands there, thanks to those shoulders coming out quite well, it's not going to be looking that awkward, and from the right angle it's going to be hidden, but he can go either straight down the barrel out to the right or across the chest. But for whatever reason, you may just be, I'm finding I'm trying to just move him in too many directions. He's not going to have the same kind of mobility that we're used to, with either bigger high grades to just have more moving parts and just more size to work with, or a real grade. Nonetheless, though, again, just plain solid. But yeah, this is definitely happening a lot when you try to move them around. It's not that it's really that loose or anything. It's just, again, you'll try to do things that you're used to with other kits, and this guy is just not quite there ready to handle it. But the legs can do a decent job of coming together there as well, with that ankle mobility helping out somewhat. But this pose, perhaps it inspired something that we saw in G Gundam. But with the help of an action base 2, or a stage there, the thrusters look great rotating around every time I see them, and those beam sabers, the shoulders are going to be a little bit awkward if you try to do a straight down slash kind of thing, but the legs, again, they just feel really solid when you're moving them around, and once you get there, it's just going to be coming across again and again and again, the same adjective, this guy, solid. And something I laugh about all the time, I don't know why, but yes, the shield is going to be good in the back, but it's even better going forward. And you know what? It looks good. As you can see the forearm through it. It's just the kind of thing, it looks like he's sort of just shushing somebody as he goes and bashes them away with his left elbow. There are definitely some WWE wrestlers who don't have an elbow drop as intimidating as this guy's. And no matter which way you put the arm, you know what? It's gonna be working. Definitely a lot better than the old school 1/100th one there. And the spatula is gonna be bringing some fun there, whether he's flipping a pie out of the oven or what. You know what? Oversized pink clear effect parts are always good for a win, and the regular beams, well, they're fun, but this one is just a little bit goofier and a little bit more unique and perfect for Uso and the V. But ultimately, when you put the whole shebang out there, and there's still even more options, he definitely packs a lot of fun into this small package. So for some final thoughts, well, starting with the negatives, the big one for me, well, you've just seen part of it, that this guy, well, he surprisingly tends to fall apart. I kept saying solid, 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 and all of a sudden, I lost the waist a couple times there. The arms were always popping out of the shoulders, but it's the kind of thing, there don't seem to be suffering any long-lasting ill effects there. when you put the shoulder back in, it still feels solid. It's just the kind of thing you've got to get used to moving these parts and not just moving the model around in the ways that we're used to. He just seems a little bit more fragile than you might expect. Another aspect is, well, definitely he's down the transformation. We're used to that on the bigger kits, the 1/100th and the Master Grade, definitely. Then again, the old school one didn't either, and they are going to give you the plus of the core fighter. But it is definitely, if he's going to have some negatives, it's not to be blamed on the fact that he doesn't have a transformation. But something that they could have done better, Bandai, is that over here on the hips, you see a lot of plastic lines around there. And it's the kind of thing where if you're going to be, he would be very plain, I think, without any extra lining. And they just don't make it easy. They could have gone for deeper channels there. Some parts are great, but some other ones definitely could have been improved. But on the other hand, there's a lot of positives here, and, well, if you don't like it, maybe that beam angry elbow is going to be there to argue with you. Look at this, we're getting a core fighter, and first of all, let's start at the very beginning. Price, 1,200 yen. We do not get many high grades for that anymore. We've seen things with age, 1,000 and 1,200 yen, and it just seems to me that we're getting more fun with this. Thanks to the second vehicle, the extra beams, and just the clear parts, and all the colors being exactly as you'd expect. No over-reliance on seals, despite the fact that they could have gone that way, but instead they're giving us all the details in plastic that you'd want. And ultimately, he is going to be pretty poseable. The knees do a good job, the elbows do a good job, the shoulders do a good job, and those little details that are going to be carved into the back, like the thrusters and things like that, that is a lot of fun, and ultimately, this guy looks exactly as he should be. The height is exactly what it should be, and when you put him on your shelf next to your other leads, or it just makes you want to have even more good and bad guys from the Victory Gundam anime, this guy is exactly what you'd want and worth a happy dance. So of course, these thoughts are just mine. I'd love to hear yours about the V-Dash's possibilities, the Hexa, do the plates, lead you to believe that we're going to be getting that. What about some recolors, things that we've seen in the Crossbone Gundam manga and things like that? Anyway, I'd want to buy them all because this guy, ultimately, small and quality, and they just nailed so many parts of his character, size, proportions, weapons, and play value. It's all there. Uso has come home in a very nice form. Anyway, please let me know what you think. Don't forget to go to GundamReviews.net and vote whether you like this kit or not. And stick around for lots more news, reviews, and everything else you can use. See you later, everybody. Come on, little V. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And who prices me at 1,000 points anyway?